Pretty straightforward to remove this dryer. You do have 2 screws down there. Of course, you have the ones up top. And once that's done, of course, you have to remove the top, just 2 Phillips screws. You push the back forward or towards the back, and you lift the top off. Now, the front comes off. Be mindful of your door harness wire. And then you lift to remove. Now, we're dealing with down here is the thermistor. Now, the error message you're getting, it could be, well, I'll list all the different ones, but basically the symptom you might be having, your dryer is not starting, or it starts, turns off, or it doesn't heat properly. Many different symptoms you will get with the TO. And so we're going to be replacing it. Now, the reason for that, take a look at this thermistor. You see that? It's wet. There's moisture. So that tells you that there's something going on in your venting issue, or system. So you don't want to just ignore that. You don't want to just put a new one in and move on. See that? Totally wet. So the thermistor is a resistor, and it sends a signal to the main board in monitoring the temperature in the blower housing. So if it's not getting a feedback, it's going to be very erratic. I explain some of the symptoms you could be having, but the machine might run and turns off. So it's just going to be very irregular. Some dryers, they will not turn on when that is bad. So you want to test it, but 9 times out of 10, you replace it, you'll be good to go. But you want to verify once you get that code that your venting is okay. In this case, with this dryer, the venting had some restriction. Whenever you have moisture in your dryer vent, it tells you that you have a restriction. The hot air or moist air is being expelled, but it's being restricted. So instead of the moisture being vented, it's backing up into the dryer, causing moisture, and eventually the moisture will back up. It will get on the thermistor and can short the thermistor out, killing it. So you get that message, you don't even need to test it. Check the wires, make sure the wires are good on your thermistor harness. Sometimes that can give you a reading because the board is not getting that feedback voltage. So that was where we're at. As you can see, it was pretty wet in there. In fact, later in the video, you'll see where I was showing the customer, explaining to her what's going on. Now, it depends on your meter. This was my other meter. My other one, the battery died. And the results sometimes based on meter with the resistance. Oh, so here's the wire testing. Take a look at this. So we're going to be replacing the thermistor, and you'll see it shortly running. I encourage you to run your machine before you put it back together, just to verify that the part is good. Once you notice the machine is good and everything is running correctly, the machine hasn't turned off, now you can turn it off and you can put it back together. And you want to turn your attention now to your venting system. Running, so you know the problem is fixed. Now you can put the machine back together, but before you do, go to the back of the machine, pull the dryer out or the washer, get behind the dryer, make sure your venting is not restricted or not kinked. So we're going to pull this off, and you can see we had some stuff out of it. And I went ahead and cleaned the vent partially. I told the customer that once the part is fixed, let me know based on the dry time of the dryer, how long it's taking to dry. So you want to run your machine on time dry. And the reason for that, you get a good indicator of how well your dryer is doing and how well your vent is as well. So when you have sensor dry, it's rather misleading based on the time, because it changes the time based on the moisture in your clothing. So when your clothing has less moisture, it will reduce the dry time. If you have more moisture, it could increase your dry time. So you think your dryer is only running for 35, 40 minutes, but in fact it was running for longer. So time dry gives you a good indicator to set your machine, and once you get that ballpark, meaning you set it for 40 minutes, your clothes were dry in 40 minutes. So you know your venting is good and everything is good. So use that as a guideline. Now we're picking up, pieces of lint. Also, nails. So I'm not sure what's going on there, if the customer or previous people. So we're trying to make the vent as compact as possible. I was trying to figure out what's the best way to do it. And what I ended up doing was, so the previous person worked on this dryer and they did not secure the wires. I noticed it, so we have to fix it. Wire keepers. It's very important to keep those wires away from the moving drum because they could damage. Now, the venting, you want to make sure that your dryer, again, is venting properly and you're not getting moisture. So you want to make your venting as compact as possible so that it reduces your backflow, and also your dryer will dry a lot quicker. As you can see, the venting is wet. That is not supposed to be. And make sure you use good clamps. And towards the end, everything was tucked in and reduced so you don't have too much extra hanging out. And I do like those vents, guys, because they're like a slinky. You can compact them, and if you do push the dryer back too far, you're able to actually compact it so you don't have too much compaction. As you can see, it was folded up and compact, so it's not bad. It actually is not too bad. So airflow was a lot better. I did touch base with the customer, but we still need to make sure that it dries within the proper time. Anyways, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of the video.